So just to get us started with some introductions, I appreciate you all introducing yourselves down in the chat window. Instead of actually using video, which just takes a lot of bandwidth and then becomes a talking head, we put up some static pictures here so you can see who we are. I'm Dr. Herb Brown. I'm a professor specifically in business and marketing education here at AppState. I've been here for about 8 years now and worked with online programs offered to the community colleges for a number of years now. And we have with us Dr. Jerry Ann Taylor as well, who is the current program director for the new CTE degree.
Hello, how are you? My background primarily focuses in on the technology, engineering, and design education options, as well as trade and industrial education. I've had the opportunity to actually teach here in North Carolina down at High Point Central several years ago, but also work with our student organizations in the state through the DPI. So I look forward to working with you all. I've been here about 10 years, and I'll do whatever I can to help with this articulation as we move forward. So.
Okay, so we're going to kind of jump right in. Again, if you have questions, just feel free to chat those down in the window down in the corner. If for some reason our audio all of a sudden stops or cuts out or something happens there, feel free to drop that in the chat window too, and we'll try to stop and see what might be going on. So we wanted to start out with, who might be interested in this program.
Yeah. So
what we're looking at here is we're looking at transfer students who are interested in teaching, because this degree is geared towards teaching in these specific fields. Most of these areas, these CTE areas, would be teaching in grades 6 through 12, so they can teach from middle grades all the way through high school. The areas are business, finance, and information technology education, business marketing and entrepreneurship education, and those two programs have courses that the folks can teach at the middle school and high school level, and we'll get into more details on each of these here in just a moment. We also have technology, engineering, and design education, trade and industrial education. Now, trade and industrial education is a 9-12 or community college level program. Those you're going to see are the ones like welding and auto mechanics, those types of programs that you typically only see at the high school level, and that's why it's a 9-12. And then family and consumer sciences education. So those are currently the initial 5 concentrations that students can pick within this degree in the CTE degree. So we're going to quickly look at each of these concentrations to just try to better clarify what these are. The first one, business, finance, and information technology education, is sometimes referred to as just business ed. These are courses in the middle school and high school that students would be able to teach that include business, really any of the business content at middle schools or high schools. So that would be business law, it might be management related classes, it includes personal finance, it includes also the computer areas, particularly the hands-on business oriented computer classes like computer applications. It includes the Microsoft IT Academy, which is being taught across the state now in the majority of high schools. So the students can come out with their certifications in Microsoft Office, for instance, web and multimedia classes, and even up into things like computer networking, even into areas such as Oracle training as well. So that would be at the high school level, obviously. So that's the business, finance, and information technology area. The focus here is not only the business, but also the IT fields and courses that they're teaching. The transfer courses that folks in the business, finance, and information technology area would bring in, and we've got more details on this later, but kind of the core courses that they would transfer in besides any gen ed would be the accounting core, the accounting 120 and 121, the business law, the econ, principles of microeconomics specifically. And then for our programs, we can specifically take the principles of marketing. Now, I do have to mention one thing here. If the students were to come into our program and then transfer into a bachelor's in business administration, for instance, here at AppState, that Marketing 120 would not count for their marketing course they have to take in the College of Business. But again, we've tried to make our degree really focused on being transfer friendly. So we've worked out where we can take that marketing course, because we're interested in them having the content in there in that course, and we feel that they've got that out of the Marketing 120. So we do use that course in our program. The students would also take an additional 9 credit hours. We would take an additional 9 credit hours from the community college in computer-related coursework, except CIS 110, since that's required for everybody. We're looking at really anything. It could be computer networking courses. It can be advanced Microsoft Office types of courses. If these are courses that typically wouldn't transfer to us as, say, CIS courses, but again, we're looking to make sure we're trying to be transfer friendly, so we want to make sure the students have a good computer foundation since they're going to be teaching this. So we're willing to accept the 9 credit hours of computer coursework, and we'll just look at that individually by student, so they could be coming out of any number of IT pathways and meet that requirement. And then they would typically have 6 credit hours of other electives that we could pull from anywhere pretty much. The next area is business entrepreneurship and marketing education. And those students that would go through that concentration would be able to teach courses, they would actually be able to teach any of the business, finance, and information technology courses, as well as the marketing, entrepreneurship, hospitality and tourism courses, sports and entertainment marketing, and fashion merchandising kinds of classes at the high school. And there are a few of those at the middle school level, but primarily the ones I have listed here are the high school level courses. So this concentration really focuses more heavily on the business and marketing side, where the business, finance, and information technology focuses more on the IT and general business areas. Folks in this concentration could also teach personal finance. We would take the same transfer courses, core courses here as we would for the other business track, the business, finance, and information technology track. So we're looking at the accounting core, the business law, marketing, microeconomics, but here they're going to bring in 9 credit hours of marketing and related business courses. So that might be marketing, entrepreneurship courses, courses in management. That's what we're looking there for those 9 credit hours. And that's in addition to the Marketing 120 courses. We're looking for them to have a good, strong foundation in marketing and entrepreneurship types of areas. And then again, they're bringing in also 6 credit hours of other electives in pretty much anything else.
Okay, so the technology, engineering, and design education option will actually provide students the opportunity to teach courses at our middle school level as well as our high school level. Those courses tend to range really in breadth. They're very broad courses. Concepts such as technological design or technology design and innovation. Robotics has become a big area for many of our school systems. They actually have local course options related to teaching robotics, primarily either on the VEX platform or the Lego, even sometimes the Lego platform. Several of our community colleges and even school systems have brought back in manufacturing, and so typically folks that teach the manufacturing courses have a tech ed license in our middle schools and high schools. We see that in, I think it's Catawba County and down towards Concord as well in the Kannapolis area, where they've brought back in the manufacturing courses. Also, we have the Project Lead the Way courses. Many of our tech ed graduates end up teaching the Project Lead the Way courses. They range everything from digital electronics to intro to engineering. And then finally, one of our bigger courses is actually the Intro to Technology, Engineering, and Design. That's typically a 9th or 10th grade course. And so our folks that are coming into this area really tend to have a good understanding of problem solving, critical thinking, working in teams. They do activities related to really all of the areas ranging from construction, manufacturing, computer-aided drafting, you name it. That's what these folks are trying to introduce our middle school and high school students to. You'll see with this coursework, we follow the same plan that Dr. Brown mentioned in regards to the business, finance, and information technology. These courses that you'll see on the screen are actually courses that we will allow in our program. We have some articulation agreements with some of the courses if they were to move into a building science program, but not all of the courses are accepted in other programs. Many of your students will probably see these courses align nicely with the AAS degree, and we're just trying to make sure that they can address many of the courses there through the community college. We do require a biology, chemistry, or physics combo, so that's a level 1 and level 2 in regards to the science sequence, and then we also have that opportunity for tech electives, and that could be anything pretty much where they would just submit those courses to me as their advisor, and we would work to accept those courses in whatever area they are, as long as they are related to technology. Our next one is trade and industrial education, and that is much more specific. That's our folks that you see in our high schools that are teaching drafting, or cabinet making, or carpentry, or welding, or automotive. You name that, typically they're the ones that are actually helping you feed your AAS programs at your community college. Sometimes even our folks that end up with these bachelor's degrees actually go on to the community college to teach as well. I know several here in Watauga County and Ashe County are actually teaching with the community college as well. However, the big difference for this trade and industrial education program is that it is a focus just in one of these areas and not as broad as what you would see with the technology, engineering, and design education option. You'll see on the next slide that the coursework is a lot different than what was laid out through the technology, engineering, and design education option. We call that TED for short because it's a little bit of a mouthful, so if you hear me say TED, that's actually technology, engineering, and design education. But the big things that come into play with T&I are the fact that they have that tech and society course, typically your humanities 110. They also have the algebra requirement, and then once again that science combo either in biology, chemistry, or physics. The nice thing about this for those AASs, yes, they do have to have our general education requirements, but what we've seen is that folks that have that AAS have a lot of technical courses, whether it's in the carpentry or the drafting or the electronics, and we're actually able to pull those courses into the degree here and allow those to count for their skill area. And so to me, that's a real big highlight for this program, the fact that we can bring in those AAS or the courses that they took during their AAS very easily into this skill set section. The last area that we have is family and consumer science education. And I'll be very honest with you, Herb and I are still learning a lot about this. Our colleague Cheryl Lee has worked with this program for a long time, and she is by far the expert in regards to this, so sometimes we may find ourselves deferring to her for answers. This program is specifically on campus right now. It's not going to be offered online. We're trying to address a couple of needs with it, but we do hope that students will look at it as a potential option, and we hope to have it out and available online here in the next year or two. But you'll see on the screen, of course, the idea comes into play where you are teaching apparel and textiles, interior design, teen living is a big course. Personal finance also falls in this category as well. Parenting, foods and nutrition, those are all courses that relate directly to FCS. And on our next slide, what you'll see is just some of the courses that we will be taking from the community college as well. It ranges everything from art courses to our communications courses, and then once again that biology or chemistry combo. So there's a lot of opportunities here in this concentration where folks could actually come up to Appalachian and finish out their degree. It works nicely with not only the AA and the AS, but also that AAS as well.
So what courses will students actually take at AppState? When we look at the coursework, They've got a couple sets of courses that they'll actually be taking through us. What we're primarily focusing on, we recognize that the community colleges do a great job of training the students with the content skills that they need. And we wanted to value that highly in this program and in the way we structured this. So we're focusing on the education side because these folks are going to be teaching their content area. So we have a set of core education courses that all the students have to take. And again, these are online. So they've got to take a course in teaching and learning in the digital age. And now all College of Education majors, all education majors at AppState actually take this core of classes. They take a course in critical perspectives of teaching and learning, psychology applied to teaching, creating inclusive learning communities, and policies and practice in educational assessment. The final course that they take is student teaching. This cluster of courses here accounts for 24 semester hours of their coursework. Student teaching alone is 12 semester hours. So this is a big chunk of their actual coursework that they take. We'll talk more about student teaching coming up, but that is a one semester full-time in the classroom teaching experience. Some other coursework that they'll take with us, some of it varies and then some of it's set. So they'll take a set of courses in actual career and technical education. So this is where we get into methods of teaching, the curriculum they'll be teaching, management of career technical education programs, career and technical student organizations that they'll be working with, and a practicum experience to get them exposed to the classroom and working with students. That accounts for another 13 hours of their coursework within the courses that they'll take with us. They will also take an additional number of courses with us in their concentration, and that ranges anywhere from 6 semester hours on up, and that's based on the concentration. The total number of courses, semester hours that they take here at AppState in their major coursework here is approximately 60 semester hours. That varies a little bit depending on what concentration they're in, and it will also vary with their gen ed needs. Now they will have to meet the AppState gen ed, and we're going to get to that slide in a second. So let me not jump too much ahead, but so they've got roughly about 60 semester hours that they're going to take with us. Again, we're trying to streamline this for our students. So is it 100% online or on campus is another key question we get, and the answer is yes, we have both. And so we have main campus options, and the FCS program, Family and Consumer Sciences we mentioned, is an on-campus only program right now. We're hoping to have that online hopefully in about another year. And everything else that you saw, though, the other programs that we talked about, the TED program and the 2 business and marketing ed programs and the trade and industrial program are all 100% completely online. We know students like to stay where they're at. We know it's more difficult for them to be traveling to a physical location, so we're, again, trying to meet those needs. When we're putting together an online cohort, and so we hope to have our first cohort here in fall 2016, and that's a big part of having this webinar right here to get the word out. We are now accepting applications for fall 2016. We need 18 plus qualified applicants to launch that first cohort. So we're looking to hit that number. We know there are a lot of potential students out there, and this might be a good place to mention that these are all high needs areas. So the employment for these students, we pretty much have 100% employment. And unless a student wants to stay in a specific town and only teach at a specific school, they pretty much have a job. These are all critical need areas in not only this state, but in South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee. They can pretty much go anywhere around us, and so great employment opportunities for those folks. The coursework is delivered online, so we will be starting that first cohort here in this coming fall. It'll be delivered online, but there is a student teaching requirement, because they are coming out with teaching licensure at the end of this, are going to be recommended for licensure. So they will have to do one semester, their final semester, face-to-face in a North Carolina public school. Remember, if you have questions as we go along, feel free to just type them down there in the chat window, and we'll try to address them, particularly if they're specific to a slide as we go along. The admissions requirements. So to be admitted into the program for that cohort that would be starting in fall, where students would need to have 30 transferable credit hours and transfer admission to AppState. So they'd need to go in and fill out the application to be a transfer student. And although only 30 transferable credit hours are required for entry, they're ultimately going to need 63 to 73 transfer credit hours, give or take. But the nice thing here is that students can dual enroll. So if they've taken 30 hours and they're ready to start with us, then they obviously probably haven't finished their UGETC requirements, the actual transfer core, the Gen Ed or our Gen Ed. So they may need to finish those. They can keep taking courses at the community college, and that's a nice thing here. If they need Gen Ed, they can go ahead and keep taking those Gen Ed courses with you. We just got to make sure that they're transferable and going to come in properly to App, and they can continue to take those where they're at the community college, and then transfer those in. Let me stop here real quick and address a couple questions that have popped up. So, are there targeted scholarships available for students going into these programs from the community college? So the answer is that there are scholarships in the College of Ed. So to start the programs, I would need to double check and get back with you on that. I don't know that there are many entry-level scholarships. Once they're admitted and part of the program, we have, I think there are hundreds of scholarships in the College of Education itself. Some of them are specific to areas. I believe we've got a couple of business ed scholarships specific.
Couple of tech ed.
Couple tech ed scholarships. So there are scholarships. A lot of those end up being junior, senior level scholarships. So once you're admitted and part of the program, then students would be eligible for to apply for those scholarships. And we try to do a good job of getting those messages out to all of our students. So when it's scholarship time, typically we've tried to streamline that so students can go to one place, fill out one application, and then be considered for all of the scholarships within the College of Ed. And then beyond that, then they're eligible obviously for any type of financial aid that's out there. So, and we've actually worked where if they are dual enrolled between institutions, and I see Lindsay Parker, who is our distance ed manager, has also joined us. She's in the list, so she can quick jump in and tell me if I say anything wrong here. But we've had students before that have been able to split their financial aid. They just work that out with the financial aid office. So if they're split load and they're taking some classes at the community college and also with us, then they can split that up. And our offices are familiar with this. I know they've done it with other students, so they're already lined up and able to help the students that are in that mode. So Lindsay, I think, is going to pop something here in the text message as well, maybe some clarification. While she does that, I'm going to address the minimum GPA to apply to App is 225 cumulative, and I don't have that right in front of me. Lindsay, do you have that as well?
For transfers.
For transfers.
Yes. And that's correct. Imagine what you're looking at is that 2.7 GPA is required for program completion and recommendation for licensure. The reason we've gone ahead and stated that is because that North Carolina requires that you have a 2.7 GPA in order to be recommended for licensure to teach in North Carolina. And we feel like that's something that we need to present up front so that the students know even if they do come in with a 2.25, they're going to be expected to have that 2.7 once they get here in order to get into the College of Education and then, of course, be recommended for licensure through the state once they complete the program.
So those are, you know, two very different things. We just wanted to be upfront and say, hey, once they're in the program, they've got to maintain a 2.7 GPA to be able. There's admission to the university, and you start the program. That's the admission requirement. And then once they're in the program, they have one other step that they have to complete. Once they've taken coursework here, within about the first semester or two, they apply for admission to teacher ed. That's just kind of an internal admission to the upper division classes within the College of Education. And that's what requires the 2.7 GPA. Okay, so I think that was addressed down here, and Lindsay did say that I was correct, that as long as community college courses count towards the bachelor's degree, major requirements, financial aid can be split between the institutions. And the admissions requirement is the 2.25 for a transfer student. And the other thing to note here is just that they obviously have to meet or complete the AppState's Gen Ed requirements. And so again, we'll work with the students there and make sure that if they're an AAS student, they obviously probably have not completed our Gen Ed requirements. If they come in with an AA or an AS degree, then they're considered having met the Gen Ed requirements. But if they're coming in with an AAS, we're giving them a lot more credit for their content courses, which maybe they haven't gotten in the past. But on the flip side of that, they'll end up needing to go back and take more Gen Ed courses to meet that requirement instead of having to take more content courses. So hopefully that makes sense.
And in regards to the CEUs for welding, we do not accept that at this point in time. That's something we definitely need to look into, but we're not able to accept the CEUs. We have to have the actual courses. And many of our community colleges do offer that, so hopefully that won't be too much of a deterrent.
Great questions. Yeah. All right. How long does it take? We have designed it to be for full-time students to be able to complete this in 2 years, and that includes student teaching. So they would take courses in fall and spring and summer, and then fall, the second year, and then spring, the second year, they would actually be student teaching. So it's really streamlined. Now that's making an assumption that their Gen Ed's done and that they've already met all those transfer requirements for the content courses we mentioned. So understand if they're at that point, then it's right at 2 years. But if they need to fill in Gen Ed, full-time hours would be 12 and above. So most semesters it's between 13 and 16 credit hours a semester. It depends on the semester. Some of the courses that they take are 2 hours, and that's where you get some of the weird numbers there. But it's 13 to 16 a semester, not counting summer, and I believe it's 2 courses in summer, I believe. Okay, and that's considered full-time. You know, there are options. If students can't do that, we'll try to work with them. If we have continuing cohorts, we've been able to work with students that couldn't do full-time work to help them spread it out a little bit further. The other thing that they can do is if they have a semester that's only 13 hours, and I've had students do this back when we were doing this with the business education degree only, we had some semesters that were lighter than other semesters, so one semester they might have 13 hours. That's a great semester for them to pick up 1 or 2 classes at the community college and help fill in those other courses they need, whether they're Gen Ed or whether they need to pick up a couple more content courses. whichever they need, they have the opportunity to do that, and they can easily do that within semesters that aren't quite as heavy loaded with us. And then, of course, they can pick those up over the summer as well. So if a student came in and they were missing, let's say 3 or 4 courses from the community college, but they had everything else, they could still easily finish within 2 years. There's enough flexibility. If they're going full-time, there's enough flexibility where they could fit a course or 2 in each semester and maybe 1 or 2 in over the summer and still be on that same 2-year time frame. But as far as our coursework goes, being in that right around 60 hours that they need, 12 hours of that being that whole last semester, it easily breaks out within just 2 straight years. That last semester is that would be their full-time student teaching experience in a public school. Cost, folks are always interested in costs, and thank you for Lindsay for putting together these estimated costs based on the 15-16 numbers that are currently out there. Online, students get a bit of a break because they don't pay all the on-campus fees. So main campus is just a little more, and that's mainly because of fees. Online students do still pay some fees, they just don't pay as extensive a fees as the on-campus students do. But online, it's $153 a credit hour. So approximately here, Lindsay's worked up the numbers for the program would cost about $9,000, $15,000 for on-campus, and that's mainly the difference in fees again. And that would be for tuition. So not bad. That's for two years of coursework.
And the big thing to keep in mind with online versus main campus too is that with online they will be purchasing their books, and we have a rental program through main campus that helps them in regards to not have to purchase all of their books on main campus. So there is a little bit of a difference just in some of the perks of online versus main campus.
Good point. Financial aid, we kind of already mentioned that, so I'll move quickly by it, but it's available to those who qualify. So they just need to fill out their standard FAFSA form and see what they're eligible for as far as financial aid. And then, as I mentioned already, that we do have a number of scholarships that are specific to the College of Education. Some of those are need-based. Some of those are specific to just the CTE areas. So there are a lot of opportunities there for students to apply, and we try to get that information out to our students as soon as we're ready to start taking scholarship applications. We try to send that to all of our students and stay in close contact with them so that they know those opportunities are there. Apparently there are payment plans available, and again, thank you to Lindsay for putting this together. There are payment plans, fall and spring semesters, to be able to break that into 5 or 10 installments for students that need that. And I assume I said that correctly, Lindsay? And feel free to jump in. Okay, thank you. Why should I recommend the program?
Well, the main reason, or one of the main reasons in my opinion, is of course that AppState is the only university here in the UNC system and really in the region that actually offers a bachelor's degree in career and technical education, and these are definitely high needs areas. Both Dr. Brown and I get calls all throughout the year looking for teachers to come in and teach in these areas, and so we feel that not only do we have a positive reputation in regards to teaching, but we also are able to place our students in great programs, and they are allowed to choose typically where they want to go. The other big thing is that through this, the students also have the opportunity to work with faculty that have been involved in the classroom and are involved in the classroom. We also have a strong distance ed support system that comes in to help us as we need help and as they need help, which to me is a big benefit. Sometimes just figuring out what to do and how to do it the correct way can make life a whole lot easier for these students as they come in. I could probably give you a million more benefits, but I really want you to be able to ask us some questions and see how we can help you. And so, do you want to cut on the mic, or you just want to type the questions? Either way, you can either ask questions or type them in. You'll be kind of asking questions as we go along. We do have some other resources that are available that we're happy to share. Things like the actual matrix that shows what students would take each semester and by area, so if you'd like to see that. We also have a comprehensive spreadsheet that shows, again, by area, all the transfer stuff that students would be looking for by area. It's kind of a summary sheet to look at. We just didn't want to confuse you with it unless you wanted to see it, but we're happy to share that. But when we came and tried to, well,
when we went through and redesigned the degree into career and technical education, we started having the conversations, again, about offering this online. I remembered back when I was working with just the business ed program, and we realized that, and the feedback I got when I was marketing that program was from the community college was that the community colleges wanted more pathways for our AAS students. And that's what we've tried to do in the revisioning and reworking of this degree and the concentrations, to be more friendly to those AAS students that have worked so hard to get their content knowledge, that weren't really getting credit for that. They were having to come to us and having to redo a lot of that because maybe the university didn't recognize that as transferable courses because of the level or whatever that they were at. They weren't part of the articulation agreement. And we're trying to value that and allow them to bring more of that in to optimize their educational pathway and provide more opportunities for them. That's our main focus here. So you would like to see that. Feel free to drop your email address down in the chat window too if you'd like a follow-up of those. I'll be happy to send this PowerPoint and those documents to you. I could also bring it up real quick just to show you what that looks like. Give me 1 second here. I'll have to share the desktop. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't.
There it is.
Okay, yeah, it's a little small because it's quite large. Let me see if I can shrink this down a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be a little ornery right now. So here's the spreadsheet that I'll be happy to send you. I'm sorry about the size here. It's a little small, but I'll be happy to send those. I appreciate you sharing your emails there, and I'll get this right out to you. But in this spreadsheet, we've tried to identify the lower division requirements from the community college by area. So the colored area here, the first one is BFit, and then we try to identify from the community college and the transfer equivalent that we're going to be taking that in as, and then again the notes such as for the second academic concentration, we're going to be taking in those 9 semester hours of computer classes for the BFit, as well as 6 hours of general electives, the BME program, and again those specifics. And so we've tried to, yes, and the courses in green that are here, as Lindsay noted here, may double count towards Gen Ed. So particularly in the BFit area, you've got courses like Principles of Microeconomics may count within their Gen Ed requirement as well. So you can kind of see where those count. Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing that. And we have it by each of the areas, so you can see that. And then we also have the specific semester by semester breakout of what students would be taking by area. So this is an example of the BFit, and Fall 1, you'll see that they're only taking 13 hours that semester. They're taking 14 hours in Spring 1, which is the top of the second column here. And so you can see if they're taking 13 or 14 hours, they could potentially pick up a course or so at the community college to fill that in. And over summer, they're actually only taking 1 3-hour course. So they could fill their summer with community college classes as well to get a jump ahead. And then fall, what they would be taking, they're taking 15 hours in fall, and then they're doing that student teaching in the spring. And then again, here's the specifics that say program requires 57 hours total online, and then the community college required classes, and then the other specifics at the bottom that they would need. So we've got these specifics, and we will get those sent out to you since you're sharing your emails there. Here's our contact information again, so if you need to get in touch with us, Jerry Ann Taylor here is the program director, and I work primarily with the business ed programs, but I'm involved with all the CTE programs. And I'll be happy to answer questions that I can as well. So any other questions at this point that you might have about the CTE program? We're excited about it, and I hope it is a great opportunity for your students.